are coming to you from the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois, where this afternoon WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Abigail Garcia, Alexi Ramirez and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Paul Molitor's Minnesota Twins. Hi, everybody, and welcome. With Steve Stone, I'm Ken Harrelson as we get set to bring you game 2 of this 3-game series. In the opener yesterday, we got shut out 6-0, so that means we have lost 4 in a row. But we got to get out there on that bump today that the right man there.
Last time out for Jeff Samardzija wasn't a particularly good outing because he couldn't spot anything. I look for better control from him today. I think he's going to go out there realizing the situation. He is, at this point, until Chris Sale returns, the #1 pitcher on this team. You look at his lifetime record. That's a product of playing for some very bad teams. His ERA, 3.88, that's good. This is 101st start. Opponent sitting just 243. Look for that splitter to be the wipeout pitch today, but to use that effectively, he's got to get ahead with his fastball and his cutter.
Well, we have not been having a lot of base runners in the first 4 games. As a matter of fact, we've only walked 5 times in the first 4 games. But a guy that we got to get cranked up, Adam LaRoche.
Adam LaRoche has hit very well against Mike Pelfrey. He remembers him from the National League. And Adam LaRoche is going to lead the way today. Take a look at the home runs over the last 3 years. The runs batted in over the last 3 years. He's off to a slow start, but he's 9 for 13 lifetime against Pelfrey. I don't believe Pelfrey can throw the fastball by him. I think it's going to be a very lively day at the ballpark. It's a beautiful day, and no better day to win #1.
Well, that's the reason you pick LaRoche as your pick.
Exactly right.
All right, sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way. Chicago White Sox baseball is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. By Honda Dream Garage Sales Event, now at your Honda dealer. By Subway, make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. By Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at your local FordStores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit Hyundai.com.
Away from the opening pitch between the White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. Dan Rowan here in the Magellan Scout Lounge. And before we get started, we want to hear a little bit from Robin Ventura about his rookie second baseman, Micah Johnson. One of the bright spots in this slow Sox getaway so far this season. Robin says he appreciates the aggressiveness of his new second sacker.
Oh, there's a definite line between being aggressive and kind of learning. But we are talking about a young player that is aggressive, has been aggressive for a while, and you're learning in the big leagues. There's some guys with some spin moves and some savvy on the mound to be able to hold you. They're aware of you. They're aware that you're there. So I think even with him, you got the kind of guys that are coming up behind you, and the way we haven't scored runs, you don't necessarily need to force it right there. Something needs to break loose. He had a nice bunt to show that kind of speed, but early on, I think he's being ultra aggressive on the field, and once he gets on the bases.
And we hope Micah Johnson continues to get on base, and we hope the big guys behind him can get him in today as the White Sox take on the Twins in Game 2 of this 3-game series. First pitch with Hawk and Stoney coming up.
Big right-hander Jeff Samardzija ready with the first pitch of the ball game to switch hitting shortstop Danny Santana, and here it comes, and it's up high, ball 1. And once again, welcome to White Sox baseball right here with WGN Sports, second of this 3-game set, and we'll get to the lineups when we can. Gillespie on the grass at third. Santana did not play yesterday. Last season he was really impressive. Short time with Minnesota. Hit .319, 7 homers, and drove in 40. Also picked up 20 stolen bases.
They believe he is their shortstop of the future.
There's the strike. And the count 1-2. And here at the ballpark, 330 down the lines, 375 in the gaps, and 400 straight away center field. On just a gorgeous day here in a gorgeous city.
72 degrees at game time. Bright suns in abundance.
That's trouble. Get fouled. It won't. Cabrera gets it back in, so a little flare.
And let's take a look at how Paul Molitor is going to line up his Twins today. Danny Santana leading it off, and it's Dozier and Mauer at the top with Vargas, Poof, and Arcia in the middle. We're getting our first look at Chris Herman, along with Shane Robinson and Jordan Schaefer rounding it out.
Here's Dozier. He was 2 for 4 yesterday. Check that, 2 for 5 with a homer.
If there is one characteristic of Paul Molitor, and this is his first year of managing, it's that he knows that this lineup is going to have to manufacture some runs. So he's going to be running every chance he gets.
Outfield for the most part straight up. Avi is short out there and right. And that pitch misses down low. Of course, Jeff saw enough of those little flares like Santana just hit, and little duck snorts in his first start in Kansas City.
If he locates today, he should be in pretty good shape. But Dozier does have some big power, especially for a second baseman.
23 homers last year. That ball's hit hard but foul. Sox played Minnesota 19 times last season, and we were 9-10 against them.
In that game at Kansas City, Jeff couldn't really spot his fastball. Didn't get ahead enough to use that wipeout splitter.
There he goes. Safe.
Let's take a look again as Santana takes a peek back. And the tag on the foot seemingly before it hit the bag, and Robin is standing in front of the dugout deciding if he wants to look at it, and apparently he doesn't. First angle we have.
He was in there.
He's going to fly by those 20 that he stole last year.
Goes there. Little two-piece swing there, trying to get him over, still couldn't do it.
Let's take a look at how they're going to line up defensively behind Jeff Samardzija. It's Cabrera, Eaton, and Garcia in the outfield, with Gillespie, Ramirez, Johnson, and LaRoche playing defense at first base. Giovanni Soto getting a start behind the plate, and Jeff Samardzija on the hill.
Here's Mauer, 4 for 12 on the young season. He has faced Jeff twice, and he has 1 hit. Takes first pitch strike. Comes right at him again.
You've seen just about every game the Sox have played in this ballpark. When the outfielders look up at the flags, can they tell anything about how the fly ball is going to be affected?
The guy who judged it the best to me was Lance Johnson. And he said, I asked him one day, I said, Lance, tell me something about the direction of the wind. This is when we first opened up here. He said, well, I got to wait a little bit longer. So a couple of weeks later, I asked him. He said, usually if the wind's blowing in, the ball's going to carry out. And vice versa. He said, it's just the opposite of what the flags are showing. Now, that was Lance. That was the way he read it.
Well, it seemed to work for him.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, he can go get him. 1 dog. Over the years we've been here, that's been my read on it as well. Sometimes it changes, though, because of the circulating of the stadium here. As that's high pop up. Alexei, 2 down. Kenneth Vargas, 3 for 13 on the year. And this was 1 for 4 with a walk yesterday. We issued 9 walks to these guys.
Well, Vargas is a switch hitter. He's a better hitter from the left side. He's got power from both sides, however, as he's a big, strong young man.
Vargas, like Mauer, has faced Samardzija twice, has 1 hit. Oh, you're not going to get that one.
Took a little something off. Good late movement. And you don't have to get Vargas out in the strike zone. He swings at just about everything.
Slow, low, high, hard. With one of those guys. with 2 strikes. He gone. And he pitches that to the man on second. Nobody out after having him play. It's the Twinkies nothing, and the good guys coming to bat.
You're home for the most live sports. Now let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up our Sox. It's Eaton, Cabrera, and Abreu at the top, with LaRoche, Garcia, and Ramirez in the middle, followed by Gillespie, Soto, and Johnson. Sox are hoping to find their offense come alive against a guy that was hurt most of last year, and there's the defense, Arcia, Schaefer, and Robinson. In the infield, Plouffe, Santana, Dozier, and Mauer. Like Pelfrey on the hill, throwing to Chris Herman today, so a brand new battery. And you'll find that Pelfrey throws a sinker, has a pretty short, sharp breaking curveball to go with it.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. Talking to Hall of Famer, the Dutchman, Bert Blyleven, prior to the game, he said Pelfrey had a good spring.
He actually lost out on the bid for starting rotation, but when Nolasco went on the disabled list, it allowed Pelfrey a chance to do it. Been a starter most of his career, but they were going to work him out of the bullpen, and he's hoping to resurrect his career. He's had some tough times injury-wise, a couple of arm surgeries, including one last year.
That's into left field. And right now, let's check out our picks to click this afternoon. Manjo, our director and recruit. LA one with Alexi. Steve's going with LaRoche. No kidding.
Had to. I've been shut out on the year.
And Jeff Shearer and all the great folks at Ditka's tonight. We're going to go with Micah Johnson. Cabrera takes ball 1.
Pelfrey's fastball is probably going to top out around 92. Maybe he can touch 93. Not much more than that. Mostly he'll pitch in the upper 80s, low 90s, especially with that sinker.
That's into left field. Marciak makes the catch, and 2 down. Here's Abreu.
Pelfrey went to Wichita State, drafted by the Mets in 2005. He was the 9th pick in the first round by the Mets.
as they take the away ball 1. He's 3 for 14 on the season. Big gap out there in left center. Santana. That didn't take long. 1, 2, 3, and after 1, no score. The top of the second inning, no score. First pitch strike from Smart. Plouffe 1 for 12 on the season. He was 0 for 3 with a couple of walks yesterday. And the count 0-2.
Let me preface this by saying that this is a game played by highly competitive people, or they wouldn't be in the major leagues. But in a group of competitors, Jeff Samardzija stands out. He's just about as intense on game day as anybody in this league.
Well, that's one reason that I was just ecstatic when we got it. Sometimes it's not the norm, but it's a little bit of an exception to the rule that you can get a pitching staff. That ball hit hard into right field over his head. So Plouffe started off with a double. But sometimes you get a pitching staff that as collectively becomes the leader of the ball club.
Well, we have to hope that this is the case, as that fastball at 96 is right down the middle. Trevor Plouffe takes advantage of it. Garcia shallow in right field. That line drive rocketed over his head. It's going to be a very lively ballpark here this afternoon.
So here is Oswaldo Arcia, 2 for 9 on the season. A good effort right there.
No, that sends a bad example to the rest of your teammates, in that you got to pull the ball, and he swings at a fastball that's outside off the corner. He's not going to pull that last pitch.
Atlanta had a pitching staff that, for the most part, along with Chipper Jones, gave that Atlanta Brave team tremendous leadership. Oakland, when they had the great ball club, won 5 consecutive divisional titles, 3 consecutive world championships. That's foul. The pitching staff, in essence, was the leader of that ball club, headed up by Catfish Hunter. As I said, that's not the norm.
Well, you take it where you can get it as far as leadership is concerned, and eventually you would have to think that Jose Abreu would be the guy. But you never know, personality-wise. You don't know if he would want to take on that mantle.
0-2 pitch.
Giovanni Soto knows that Jeff Samardzij's wipeout pitch is a splitter. The best splitter that any pitcher has, not just Jeff, winds up in the dirt. Looks like a knee-high fastball, dives in the dirt, and that puts a lot of pressure on the catcher, in this case, Giovanni Soto.
And then there's that rare instance also is when sometimes the manager becomes leader of the ball club, like a Billy Martin. 05, in essence, in 05, Ozzie was the leader of this ball club.
And there's a look at Robin, who would love to see his offense come to life.
Way out in front. Well, talking with Silk, Dan Rowan, pregame show, that's something that nobody has the definitive answer for. If they did, they couldn't spend it.
You're talking about how to get out of an offensive slump or any other slump that happens in baseball?
Yep. I'll tell you, for me, what I would love to see on our club in this particular scenario here is I would love to see the little guys just almost bunt every time they got up there. Micah, Adam.
Well, it'd certainly make it a whole lot easier for them to pull in the corners so they can slap it by them when they do decide to swing away. And Micah laid down a successful bunt and beat it out in yesterday's game.
Yeah, and for 7 innings, first 7 innings, that's the only hit we had.
Such was the pitchability of Tommy Milone, who went away from his best pitch most of the time, and that's a straight change. He threw it sparingly. He threw inside fastballs to the right hand hitting lineup and jammed a whole lot of them. He was impressive yesterday.
Just does get him. But after an extended at bat, Garcia gets him over. Well, you know, I was talking with Blyleven about that as well. It wasn't just us yesterday. You can put a lot of ball clubs out there against that stuff that Tommy Milone was throwing up there. Spotting his fastball inside. Occasional changeup is more or less a show-me pitch. A couple times it's an out pitch. And he's going to beat a lot of clubs with that stuff.
And he started with little control difficulties with 2 walks in the first inning. Those are the only 2 walks he gave up all day.
That ball is ripped past LaRoche. Down into the corner. And he's safe. So Chris Herman. And it's 1-0 Minnesota.
One of the reasons why Herman is on this team is that he certainly gives them a good enough catcher, maybe the best throwing catcher they have, but he can also play first base. He can play the outfield. He can play just about any place they want to put him. And he rifles this one down the line. So the Twins, for the second time in as many days, break out on top.
We have lost 4 in a row, and if you lose 4 in a row, like we did 3 in a row in Kansas City, and then we have 1 yesterday. If you lose 4 in a row like that, and you're getting beat 10-9 or 10-7, 11-6, the perception is not anywhere near as bad as when you're not scoring or not hitting. There's a breaking ball, hard slider. Shane Robinson. Pretty good pitch. Two and one. Softly hit into right field, and it's 2-0. So Molitor sending the Dome Patrol guys out there.
Robinson came up with the St. Louis Cardinals. Came over here as a minor league free agent and delivers a run batted in with an off-field single.
That'll bring up the center fielder, Jordan Schaefer, 3 for 13 on the series with a couple of RBIs, both those coming yesterday.
The Twins' #1 prospect and the #1 prospect in all of baseball is Byron Buxton. He's at AA, and they figure that in the not too distant future he's going to be here. He's a 5-tool player who will eventually take over for Schaefer in center field.
One, two.
Look down at Gene Glynn, the third base coach. You got Butch Davis, the first base coach.
Well, Buxton was hurt last year. 2013, he stole 55 bases. With 12 home runs, and he's a 300 minor league hitter.
Spring, I was talking with a few scouts, and they said that he is pretty close to a can't-miss prospect. Just a question of staying healthy and getting the call, because they would love him in center field. Aaron Hicks did not work out, a former #1 draft pick. So they sent him back, and they await Buxton and Sano, a big, very powerful third baseman.
Once again, the 0-2 pitch. He gone. 2 down. I was talking to some scouts this spring, and they told me that the can't miss guy, without question, is Joey Gallo.
He can hit him 8 miles. He's going to hit a lot of home runs. I guess the question is, where are you going to play him?
They said his power is just incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Just incredible.
He and Chris Bryant from the Cubs tormented minor league baseball last year.
Santana flipped a little semi-duck snort single in the left field and picked up the stolen base. Jeff left him right there. There he goes. There's the throw. Nice block right there by Gillespie.
Stolen base. E2.
Good rip at that one by Santana. And the count 2-1. Three and one with Dozier on deck. It's 3-0. So the stolen base in the era.
Leading to Santana's second hit in as many innings, his first run driven in. And you get a little bit of an idea about why they want him every day at shortstop. Rod Carew, known for fast hands, said that Santana's hands are just about as fast as anybody he's ever seen.
He looked great against us last season.
Yes, sir.
And that hanger is ripped into the corner. And it's going to be 4-0.
Don Cooper comes out. Dozier loves to pull the ball. And this one is right down the middle. Through an off-speed pitch or a cutter, whatever it was, it had too much of the plate. And it goes rattling around in the corner.
Which will make that run now earned. Here's Mauer. Popped up to Alexei. Takes fastball strike at 96. This next pitch will be number 30 this inning. Another long half inning, and we've been on the wrong side
of a few
all
of those.
year.
A few of those.
Outfield bunched. And that Mauer stroke inside out.
One of the things that Joe worked on this spring was pulling the ball a little more. He's going to hit in the middle of this lineup, a lineup that doesn't hit a whole lot of home runs. He's going to have to drive in Santana and Dozier. To do that, he's got to use the whole field. His natural stroke, however, has always been the left center.
2-2. Took just a little something off, had him off balance. Meanwhile, they put a 4 spot on the board. They lead it 4-0.
Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local Nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To visit the nation, visit jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side.
4-0 Minnesota here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. It'll be LaRoche, Garcia, and Alexei.
They put on a radical shift, although keeping Santana at shortstop.
And 1 for 14. I like it.
Not a bad idea when you think about it. All he's got to do is get the bunt anywhere on the grass on the left side, and it's a leadoff hitter on.
And we need some runners. But and that's out of play. That ball hit high and deep into left center field. He's back, looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. First homer in a Sox uniform, and it's a 4-1 ball game.
That's the first home run that LaRoche has ever hit against Pelfrey, and although he's hit very well against him, this is the first time he left the yard. That was a fastball down. A lot of left-hand hitters love a fastball down. And it's a 3-run deficit.
So here's Avi. Avi, 3 for 11 on the young season. And that ball hit in the right center field. Nobody's going to get that one. So that one hops into the seats. Ground rule double. Avi's second 2-bagger.
Gives you a little bit of an idea how strong Avi is, because he just flicked at that ball away. Here's our Mazda replay. This is a slider that doesn't slide, and he just reaches out. Looks like he was just guiding a line drive. Meanwhile, that line drive one hopped out of the ballpark.
Here's Alexei. 1 for 12 on the year. Attaboy, Alexi. Gets the job done.
That's a good at bat, although it's going to be 0 for 1. He's going to go back into that dugout and get a pretty nice hand and acknowledgement from his teammates. They realize that he gave themselves up to move the runner 90 feet. That's a good at bat. He was going that way regardless of what Pelfrey was going to throw. And now Paul Molitor does not have the infield in. He's got a 3-run lead. It is early, but he doesn't want to open it up to the possibility of a big inning.
Gillespie, 1 for 5. He's 3 for 11 lifetime off Pelfrey with a homer. And there is a base hit. Bobby will score, and it's a 4-2 ball game.
First run batted into the air for Connor. And things looking a whole lot brighter here in the bottom of the second. This fastball in the inner portion, he just inside outs it. He had Santana playing up the middle. There was a vacated left side, and he took advantage of that.
That's ball 1.
Jeff is going to have a very good bounce back inning. His offense is trying to get him right back in his game.
Well, they just did. And there's a base hit by Soto hard.
If Giovanni Soto will use right field, which is primarily what he did when he won the Rookie of the Year in the National League, he can be a factor. He had a good spring. Hits that ball hard. And so Neil Allen comes out. He wants a word with Pelfrey, who has gotten peppered here in the second. Join us at U.S. Cellular Field for an exciting 2015 White Sox baseball season. The Pick 14 plan offers fans a flexible 14-game plan that features savings off the 2015 individual game ticket prices. Pick 14 plans start as low as $110 per plan. So for tickets or more information, visit whitesox.com or call 312-674-1000.
Two in, 2 on, 1 out. And here's Micah Johnson, 3 for 9 on the series. Plouffe, right at the cut of the grass at third, outfield for the most part straight up. Took something off. That pitch at 80.
Well, it looks like the word has gotten around that Micah Johnson is not just a butter or a singles threat, because the outfield is deeper, certainly deeper than the Kansas City outfield played against him. He's hit a couple of shots this season.
2-2. Two down. First strikeout, and that'll bring us back to meet. Umpires must have given Pelfrey some permission out there. Every pitch he's going to his mouth.
Well, I think you can go to your mouth if perceptively you look like you're wiping it off. I say perceptively because I don't think the umpires can tell when he.
That ain't gonna work.
When he reaches down.
Well, whatever he's doing, I hope he just keeps on doing it.
Okay. Good slow curveball. Got it in a good spot. Adam was just able to cue it foul.
0-2 the count.
That is a balk.
Whoops.
Unless
now they're holding him.
Unless one of the umpires on the base paths acknowledge the timeout.
Maybe Adam called timeout.
Well, he might have, but the umpire usually throws up his hands, and the hitter usually doesn't stand in the box. He waits for acknowledgement from, in this case, John Hirschbeck.
No, he did not call timeout. Meanwhile, the 0-2 pitch. Mauer sucks it up, beats him to the bag, but Sox get right back in it with a pair. We'll go to the third, trailing 4-2. Ball one to Kenneth Vargas leading off here in the top of the third. Twins lead at 4-2. Vargas strikeout victim, swinging on a fastball back in the first inning. Count evens at 1.
Jeff has got to find some way to limit his pitches, get some outs early in the count, turn it over to his offense.
Well, they've been fouling an awful lot of them away.
Making for high pitch counts and long at bats.
Change up misses. And the count 2-2. Picked nicely. Good feed. 1 out.
Southpaw visiting the social media lounge. Young fans certainly enjoying his presence. And of course, he's got the hawk right with him.
Yeah.
The precocious paw.
Here's Plouffe. Double leading off last inning when they scored 4. One and two the count. Make your plans to be with us tomorrow for the debut. So Mike has got it. Good play for the debut. Chris Sale.
Looking forward to that one. And Mother's Day is May 10th, and the White Sox have dedicated Saturday, May 9th, as Mother-Son Night at the ballpark. It's a great opportunity to celebrate the family's biggest fan, coach, and cheerleader, our moms. In addition to specially priced tickets, families will have the opportunity to enjoy various activities at Gate 1. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/mom.
Oswaldo Arcia grounded out to Micah Johnson. Just over the head of the Sox second baseman. Here's Chris Herman. He ripped a triple down into the right field corner. Herman, 27-year-old receiver, 263 minor league hitter. Count evens at 1.
Hit that one hard, but well foul. And Herman, who had 3 different shots at coming up with Minnesota, briefly in 2012, again in 2013. Last year, 75 at bats. And this year he broke with the club, hoping to stay here for a while.
Well, if he keeps turning that fastball around like that, he will.
The guy they really were looking for, especially because of his bat, was Josmil Pinto. He's down in the minor leagues. He's gotten hurt a couple of times, and Kurt Suzuki is back there most of the time.
Two out. Yeah, Chris Sale on the bump tomorrow, so make your plans to be with us. Be going against the Minnesota ace, Phil Hughes.
Soto going out there to talk with Jeff, who's lost the release point on that splitter. That ball just slipped out of his hands. Pretty high pitch count at this point. Not yet through 3 innings.
Payoff pitch. And that'll retire the side. We'll go to the bottom of the 3rd. 4-7-0 for them. 2-4-1 for us.
And an official White Sox MasterCard debit card. Only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to www.wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Member FDIC. Or you can just go there. Pick up whatever you want. Even a memorable Wayne Wise moment in this ballpark, where he made the catch to preserve the perfect game.
Gabe Kapler. When he hit that ball, I didn't think there was a chance that Dwayne Wise could get there, because he played the shallowest center field in the American League. And he kicked, you could see about halfway there, he kicked it in another gear. That ball hit hard but foul. 1-1 to count.
And the fact that he had just come in for defense, so it's not like his legs were loosened up entirely. That was the first play he had to make.
There was a perfect example of adrenaline.
Not kidding.
Perfect example. Get through it, will. So the leadoff single.
Belfry's getting a lot of fastballs up. He doesn't want it there. That's just above the belt high. And too easy to get a good piece of the bat on it. Plouffe made the effort, couldn't get to it, and a promising way to start the third.
Abreu. Jose grounded out to Santana. It's short. Takes ball one. Couldn't lay off that sweeper.
The outfield, which has been playing him to right center, now playing him pretty much straight up. You see Schaefer in center field. Everybody else very deep all the way around.
Just tuning in, Twinkies 4 in the second. Came right back with 2 in the second. Well, we talk so much about in spring training table setters.
You got to start setting it.
It's only his 4th at bat this season. Somebody aboard. Watch out, that hit him.
I think it hit him, might have gotten a piece of Herman also. It does. It catches him off the right elbow, I believe.
Well, he was not trying to hit him.
No.
Here's Adam. A Bruin here. 2 on, nobody out.
Our 4th drive of the game. Game leading off the 2nd inning, opposite field by Adam LaRoche. 25% of his lifetime home runs have come to the opposite field. But yet just about every team shifts on him as a dead pull hitter.
Took something off that curveball, misses, and the count evens at 1.
Ham didn't seem to like the call, but it was a good call. It had at least half the inside corner.
I would give a dozen golf balls if we could say that this 0-4 start was caused by the umpires.
Not a chance.
But we have had 4 good umpired games. Two and two. Javi on deck. It's full.
Nice play by Herman, and his ability to play a lot of different positions helps him side to side. He's very quick. Otherwise, this one goes to the screen and moves 2 men into scoring position.
Payoff. Watch out. Now we'll load him up.
Neil Allen going out there for a couple of different reasons. Number one, he's trying to settle down Pelfrey, but also that bullpen's going to start to work. Pelfrey has not been overwhelming so far, and he's in a big jam here in the third.
Pelfrey is, you can see, a huge man, 6'7", 240 pounds.
And the Mets drafted him number 1. The 9th pick in the draft in 2005. He was a flamethrower. They thought they had themselves another one of their great pitchers as they've developed through the system. So Matt Harvey coming back, throw a gem. His first start since the arm surgery. They've got a good staff. And apparently they scout pitchers pretty well. But Pelfrey has been hurt a few times. And the movement, the late movement of the fastball, suffers after surgery.
First time we've had the bases loaded this year. And the best thing about it is no outs. Harvey doubled and scored last inning. Takes first pitch strike. One and one the count. Big pitch coming up.
He rode that one down and in, out of the zone, and threw it by him. Tim Stauffer starts to loosen up.
Out evens at 2. Cabrera at third, Brayu at second, LaRoche at first. And the 2-2 delivery. That's off his foot. Everybody's going to be safe as Cabrera scores, and it's a 4-3 ball game.
We've seen a couple of caroms go right at infielders this year. Fortunately, this one off the foot and nowhere near Santana. So Pelfrey able to keep it out of center field for the moment.
Boy, that was a nice piece of woodwork right there by Avi on a tough pitch to lay off of. Didn't try to do too much with it. So here's Alexei. He grounded out to second, but it got the job done because Avi was on second with nobody out. Taking all the way and count nothing in one. That evens it up. Gonna go, and they come home, and they're gonna get him, so it'll be a 5-2 double play.
Good heads-up play by Plouffe, knowing that Jose is not the fastest man around. He had time to get to the bag and make a good solid throw.
So here's Connor. Had an RBI single last inning. Curveball, no. Take him up, Connor. Let's get this game tied. Had him way off balance out in front.
That was a changeup. He kept it in a perfect spot. It was low and out of the zone.
Now he's got to count again. 3-1. Zone him in, reel him in, and light him up.
Probably his best pitch of the sequence. It was in the zone. It was low and on the outer portion.
The payoff pitch. Good speed aboard with Ivy and Alexei. Once again, 3-2. That's fair. Plouffe with the good throw. But we do get one. We'll go to the fourth, trailing by one.
Inclusive. You receive a game ticket and can enjoy all-you-can-eat buffet catered by Baseball Buffet, as well as wine and Miller and Pepsi beverages. The patio opens 90 minutes prior to the game and closes 30 minutes after the start of the game. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/groups.
Low and away. First pitch to Shane Robinson, who singled, knocked in a run, stole a base, and scored back in the second inning when they scored all four of their runs. It's 4-3 Minnesota. 2-0. Ivy. Couple steps short out there and right. Bit of a gap in left center. Two and two.
Robinson played parts of 5 seasons with the Cardinals, but the most at bats he ever had was 166 back in 2012.
Attaboy. One down. That'll bring up the center fielder Jordan Schaefer, who struck out swinging on a good fastball from Jeff.
Schaefer was picked up on waivers, and between Atlanta and Minnesota last year, he swiped 30 bases. That part of it was good, although they don't envision him as their everyday center fielder for a whole lot of time. He's there now.
One and one to count. Jordan was born in Hammond. That's into left center field. That's going to fall for a single. Schaefer now resides in Haines City, Florida, south side of Orlando. Now the Twins go back to the top of the order. This is Danny Santana, who has a little soft single to lead off the ball game and stolen base, and then in the second had an RBI single and scored a run. That's into left center field. Fighting the sun a little bit. Makes the catch. 2 down.
Unfortunately, as often happens, off a left-hand hitter, that ball slicing right to Cabrera as he went across into left center field.
So here's Dozier. He's 1 for 2, an RBI double. There goes Schaefer.
Micah thought he had him on the back before the hand got in there, and here's Robin once again standing out. He wants to wait to see the replays and if he should challenge or not. That's awfully close. I think Robin is going to challenge it.
I think he got him.
He did tag him on the body. It looked an eyelash before the hand got in, but they'll have to see definitive proof to overturn the safe call.
I think he was a gone goose.
We'll slow it down. Right there, he's tagged him, and the hand has not gotten to the bag yet.
He's out.
He's out. Should be. Now we'll see. I think the umpires are looking up at the screen.
Yeah.
And if they can see the same thing, which I'm sure they can in New York, this half inning will be over. Bill Welke on the call. And that first angle we showed you appears to be the definitive angle.
Great job right there by Micah. Making the tag after the catch, having to go over him.
Here's the best angle. See the jersey crinkle before his hands on the bag. I mean, that's pretty clear as you slow it down.
Yeah, if they slow it down, it's a lot more perceptible.
He's out.
He's out. He gone. And we'll go to the bottom of the fourth, trailing 4-3. Soto will lead it off. He had a solid single to right field back in the second inning. It's a 4-3 Minnesota lead. Takes ball one. Two and 0. Three and nothing. There's one.
That might have been a break, as it was low and away just off the corner, but certainly close enough. You see both 4 and 5 in basically the same spots.
Bites that one off. And just did get a piece of that one. Out there in left center. Good swing there. Good pass at that one.
Good at bat. He's going to be facing his 9th pitch. And what Paul Molitor is going to learn is what every young manager does learn: when to go get your starting pitcher and how to keep the bullpen fresh. That really Separates the men from the boys in the managerial ranks.
That ball hit hard. They're not going to catch that one. You can put it on the board. Yes! And this ball game is tied at 4. Mercy.
First run batted in on his first home run as a member of the White Sox. Giovanni Soto hit a line drive rocket right over the Wind Trust sign. And it's a brand new game. He got that fastball up a danger zone when you use the middle of the plate.
Well, the more pitches you see, the more dangerous you become. And here is Micah Johnson.
That was a good at bat. He worked it, got his pitch, and tattooed it.
Plouffe in on the grass at third. Mauer just behind the line at first. And the count 1-1.
Now, the Twin bullpen is up and throwing once again.
Softly hit.
Hey, Sox fans, the Cleveland Indians are coming to town to play our White Sox on April 20th through the 22nd. All fans in attendance to any of these games will receive a 2015 Chicago White Sox calendar. Purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Adam Eaton. 0 for 2. He's gone out to left. Ooh, just foul. And he's grounded to first.
Big gaps in right center field as Schaefer is shading maybe a step left of center. And Shane Robinson is playing straightaway right.
Santana throws him out. 2 down. Santana's what you call a short arm and throwing shortstop.
Pretty accurate, though.
And pretty strong.
He is very strong. You know, amazingly enough, a lot of people didn't hear about him because he played in Minnesota last year. They had a down year. There's only one American League rookie more productive in OPS, and that was Jose Abreu. He was more productive than a lot of people. So Santana was pretty much in elite company last year among American League rookies.
Now Santana is 24 years old. He got a chance to be a real good one for a long time.
Yes, indeed.
Here's Cabrera. 1 for 2, a single leading off last inning, and he scored.
We saw J.R. Graham loosening up briefly in a ball game yesterday, and he looks to be the first out of the chute today, if and when Molitor goes and gets Belford.
Took something off that breaking ball and had him way out in front.
There's a look at the first-year skipper, the Hall of Famer, Paul Molitor.
3,319 hits.
A player he was.
Another all-speed pitch had him out in front. But the leadoff homer by Giovanni Soto. We'll go to the 5th, tied at 4.
Cellular field. It's accessible from the 100, 300, and 500 levels. Young Sox fans can learn baseball fundamentals from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches. The space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and more skill instruction. It's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
It's the top of the 5th inning in this 4-4 tie. Brian Dozier will lead it off. Just a beautiful catch by Alexei. Hello.
That one couldn't have been timed any better. He just goes up, and at the top of his leap, he's able to keep it out of left field. What a play from the man that should have won the Gold Glove last year but didn't.
How he didn't is just an absolute mystery. Those people voting for Gold Gloves, I'll tell you, got no clue.
Well, he won the Silver Slugger, so it wasn't the fact that he wasn't hitting.
That's
What a year it was for Alexei last year, just strictly from the defensive aspect of it.
I've been in this game over a half a century. I've seen some of the great shortstops in this game. Last year was the best defensive year I've ever seen a shortstop have. Bauer puts it out of play. Bauer has popped a short and struck out. Just off the inside corner.
Pitch number 82 forthcoming. The last couple of innings were manageable. That second inning, 33 big pitches.
That ball hit deep in the left field. Yes! I love defense.
A couple of very good plays. As Melky playing fairly deep in left field. We talked to you about Bauer's stroke being to left and left center. Cabrera goes up and gets it. Nothing gives a pitcher a shot of adrenaline more than a couple of defensive plays where you don't have 2 on and nobody out. You have nobody on and 2 out.
So the Sox throwing some leather, and we're halfway home in this 4-4 tie. Twinkies, 4-7-1 for our Sox. It'll be Abreu, LaRoche, and Garcia. There's tomorrow's pitcher. Make your plans to be with us for the debut, 2015 debut, Chris Sale. Got in on him again right there. So 1 pitch, 1 out.
Join the White Sox Kids Club presented by University of Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital. We're teaming up to promote a healthy lifestyle and combat childhood obesity. Kids 13 and younger can join the Kids Club with either an All-Star or Slugger membership. Members will receive free White Sox tickets and cool exclusive Kids Club items. Join today. Visit WhiteSox.com to join the club.
Here's Adam, a homer and a walk. First homer coming back, leading off the bottom of the second. First pitch strike just does catch inside corner. One to count. Got that one to know. Two and two.
Lights off a straight change. That one Pelfrey got up.
Way out in front, a lot of off-speed stuff being featured now by Pelfrey.
For those of you who might have missed a score last night, Boston and the Yankees went 19 innings before Boston finally won it. And when you lose those games, it takes a little bit of the steam out of you. The Yankees have 1 hit. Heading into the bottom of the 8th inning, they're losing to Boston 8-1. So they played a lot of baseball in less than 24 hours, and the Yankees taking it on the chin.
Here's Avi. Avi a double and a run scored in the second. An infield RBI single in the third. Up the middle, Santana. And a quick 1-2-3 inning. We've completed 5 and we're tied at 4. and Herman. Breaking ball strike.
Sox
Plouffe.
infield plays Plouffe as a pull hitter. The outfield plays him straight away. So two different defenses. You see how close Ramirez is with Gillespie.
Oh, he doubled. Could be an error. So the leadoff man aboard.
Defense is perfect. Just can't get the handle.
Pitch over. So here's Arcia. He is grounded to second and ripped one into right field for a single.
Good fastball up and on the inner portion.
Tough one for him to get to at 94.
He's not going to get to it there if he can keep it there. Although he's a very strong young man, making the transition from an everyday right fielder last year to an everyday left fielder this year with the presence of Torrey Hunter in this lineup.
0-2. Torrey yesterday started off a big 3-run ninth for him. Picked up a stolen base and scored. He gone. One down.
3 fastballs, the third of which was the fastest he threw. 94 up and in, 94 low and away, and 96 in a perfect unhittable spot. Good late movement. That probably was the best fastball he's thrown today.
Well, he's hit 96 a couple times before.
I'm just talking about the movement.
Everything, yeah.
It just put it in a perfect spot, and he seems to be getting stronger even though he's got a high pitch count.
This will be his 90th pitch coming up, as here is Herman, who tripled, knocked in a run and scored in the second inning.
Plouffe had only 2 stolen bases all of last year.
Big rip by Herman. One out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Once again, a reminder, make your plans to be with us tomorrow. Chris Sale in his 2015 debut.
Tried to dot the outside corner, just a little too far out for John Hirschbeck, the home plate umpire.
Can't get that one up there. So that evens the count at 2. Shane Robinson on deck. High pop up left side. Two down.
Join the Chicago White Sox charities in celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the 2005 World Series by purchasing a commemorative brick in Championship Plaza at U.S. Cellular Field. A limited number of bricks are available. For more information, visit whitesoxcharities.org/brickplaza.
That'll bring up the right fielder, Robinson, who was 1 for 2 with an RBI, a stolen base, and a run scored. Got a pretty good pitch to hit right there, a little out in front, and chops it foul.
Tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be the K zone. It's out there for Chris Sale. Down the left field line, 2 sections, $20 seats. With Jeff Samardzija now, it's the Shark Cage. Seats are still $20, and you get a cap and a fin. I think that's a regular fin, not $5.
There's a strike. 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. He gone. Gas at 96.
And a little leather thrown by first. Alexei Ramirez as he goes up as high as he can go. Robs a base hit, and then Melky Cabrera on a line drive. And these two great plays help Samardzija get out of the inning. 1-2-3. The Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And we've got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, so Pelfrey is done. And Graham, J.R. Graham, comes on for the third time. Hasn't given up a run yet. That is until today.
He's 25 years old, out of Livermore, California. As here is Alexei. Big motion. Little velocity. 0-1 to count. That one at 95. Easy 95.
He was picked by the Braves in the 4th round in 2011. Twins did get him in the Rule 5 draft in December of last year. Lexi can't believe it. That was not a particularly good call. Take a look at our Xfinity pitch tracks and watch where 4 shows up. It's a good 4 inches off the outside corner.
There's Gillespie. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI. He takes strike 1 at 95.
Mike Pelfrey went 5 innings, gave up the 4 runs, 7 hits, walked 1, fanned 2, and hit Jose Abreu in the 3rd.
Pull the string on him. Good change in the count. 0-2. That change up right there was 84. 11 miles an hour difference.
It's an excellent disparity.
Well, that's what Seaver and Kuzman said. Did a 3-month study on it. Tom Seaver and Jerry Kuzman.
Two guys who know a little bit about how to throw the baseball.
Kuzman was one of those left-handers, strong right-handed hitters. He just tried to take your right kneecap off. Like Gary Peters, formerly of the White Sox. Two and two. And we were talking about chemistry the other day being more important now than it's ever been. Cruz was one of the leaders on that '83 White Sox team that won the division by 20 games. And he was traded after the season was over, and that sort of broke the chemistry. Full count. Giovanni Soto on deck. Good job just to fight that good strike off. There's a shot base hit.
9-pitch at bat. Culminates with a rocket to right field as Graham got a little careless with a fastball. Thought he might be able to throw it by him upstairs. But second hit of the day for Connor.
Now Connor's one of the best fastball hitters on the club with that short stroke of his.
Leading off the fourth, Giovanni Soto got a fastball up and out over the plate. Hit a line drive rocket that tied up the ball game at 4, which is where we stand.
Flips that one up there at 83. That ball hit high and deep into center field. Stretch! Right in front of the fence, hauls it in. For out number 2.
.400 feet to straightaway center. And this fastball right down the middle almost left the yard. But a couple of steps to spare for Schaefer. And Herman's going out there to suggest that his young, and he's only 25 years old, but his young right-hander should use some of the corners as opposed to the middle of the plate where he's gotten hurt a couple of times.
Here's Micah. He's due. He's 0 for 2. Gotta make him get it down. Quickly, nothing in 2.
Floated a changeup. That was a mistake.
He got away with the one up there.
Yeah. Fortunate thing for Graham and the unfortunate thing for Micah is that it hung up high out of the zone. If this ball is in the zone, it's going to get hit awfully hard.
Molitor, thank you. Robin might try to steal a base here and have his two fast guys leading off in the 7th. Good eye, 1 and 2. If he had been thrown out. Got him. Good pitch. And we're into the 7th. A 4-4 tie here in the top of the 7th inning. It'll be Schaefer, then back to the top of the order. Santana and Dozier face our Jeff Samardzija. This will be the 99th pitch. Foul back.
Jeff had a very tough 2nd inning. Gave up 4 runs on 5 hits. Since then, just 2 singles. 1 erased, trying to steal a base. So after the 2nd, he's gotten awfully tough.
So that pitch number 100 foul back.
Pen is up and going. Zach Duke. Javi Guerra. Javi's been a busy man in the early going.
Pretty good pitch, didn't get it.
This one will just barely touch the zone.
Out in front of that change.
He's yet to walk anybody. And the stuff has gotten considerably better as he's moved along, as Don Cooper looking over his clicker to get the official count.
Full count. Micah. Got him.
I just get the feeling that Jeff is one of those guys that if you have made a decision to take him out, you better do it before you cross the line, because if you ask him if you want to come out, he's never going to tell you he's ready to come out.
He's a competitor. There's no bad adapts.
Santana is talking with John Hirschbeck, saying that he didn't offer it that bunt. But John has a deciding vote. Big man to retire in a tie game late, because he is a constant stolen base threat.
Breaking ball, big hack. 1-2. Now we had a pitcher here. The boomer, David Wells. Made a start in Detroit when he first joined our ball club. Got in a little trouble in I think it was the 5th or the 6th inning. Got some 2 down. So Jerry Manuel's manager walks out there, climbs up on the mound. Boomer looks at him and says, "What are you doing out here?" He said, "Get your behind back in that dugout." Manuel just turned back around and walked right back into the dugout. Boomer used a little different language, though.
You know, Dozier's thinking about hitting out of the park.
Well, he should be.
I mean, that's in this situation late in a tie game. You're one of the few bona fide home run hitters on your team. If you go in, you go way in. Otherwise, you stay away.
And if you got a pretty good pitch to hit there, where if you're Dozier, you're zoning more than just looking for a pitch. You're looking for a zone.
If he was looking low and right down the middle of the plate, the last slider was there. Fortunately, he's in an 0-2 hole now. Jeff Reachback got everything he could on what he felt would be the last pitch of the inning. And John Hirschbeck is hearing it from the Sox dugout.
The 1-2.
That was 97, the fastest fastball he's thrown.
Gone. 7th inning stretch, tied at 4.
Got a new pitcher coming into this 4-4 tie, and it's a left-hander, Aaron Thompson. He comes out of the pen in relief of Graham, who was on in relief of Pelfrey. And nothing decided as we head into the bottom of the 7th inning.
Adam Eaton, Cabrera, and Abreu. Adam 0 for 3, a fly out to left, 2 ground outs, 1 to first, 1 to short. Just tuning in, they scored 4 in the second. We scored 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth.
Thompson was highly thought of when he was drafted. He was drafted by the Marlins in the first round, the 22nd pick overall in 2005.
Chopper. Dozier. 1 down. That'll bring up Cabrera, who's 1 for 3. Single and a run scored. Thompson, who lives in Houston. Bit of a gap out there in left center field. He fakes the bunt, takes the ball. Four runs, 8 hits, no errors for their guys. 4 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors for our guys.
Paul Molitor views Thompson as a situational left-hander. He doesn't have the usual left-handed delivery. He comes right over the top.
Pretty good pitch. And the payoff. Getting the over breaking ball.
Lane Boyer loosening in the pen. Very good chance that if Cabrera gets on, it's going to be Boyer facing Abreu.
Pull the string. 2 down. So here is Abreu. Jose 0 for 2. He's hit by a pitch and scored. That was in the 3rd inning. Or check that. No, he did not score. Twice he's grounded out to short. There's a roller. Hit hard but foul. Get the shift on. And Santana's going to bobble that one, but can still get it. So we're into the 8th, still tied at 4.
Only 2 errors of the game. Samardzija went a battling 7 innings, striking out 6, no walks. LaRoche hit a solo homer. Soto a solo homer. Brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Sales Event. Now at your Honda dealer.
Zach Duke on to pitch. And here is Mauer. That's just a terrific outing by Samardzija. Struggled in the second inning. All of a sudden, looked to me like in that strikeout of Mauer to end the second, looked like he found a little rhythm or something. You know, he got into it. After that, just gave up 2 little singles. They had no chance.
Did exactly what Robin really wanted him to do, was go deep into the ball game.
Well, that's the reason he's here.
And young pitchers can't do that. When young pitchers are touched up early, they'll have some big problems. They'll usually get knocked out early. So today with Jeff, got through 7.
Nice timing. 1 out. Well, that kind of performance is what chemistry and leadership build on right there, especially in the midst of a 4-game losing streak.
Well, I was going to say, he also knows the situation better than anybody. You give up 4 early. You haven't won this year. You got to come back and battle and hope your offense can pick you up, and that's exactly what happened.
And Chris Sale on the bump tomorrow. Make your plans to be with us. Those 2 guys leading the way. Vargas can't get it. You count 0-2.
I'm looking forward to that matchup. Looking forward to see Chris Sale. And the adrenaline will be flowing for Chris. Gillespie is right on top of the line and very deep. 3rd. Playing a no double set.
He gone. 2 down.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Here's Plouffe. Takes first pitch strike. Plouffe led off that second inning with a double, came around to score.
Sidearm delivery that Zach adopted since moving into the bullpen gives him a lot of movement. He always threw pretty hard, not near as hard these days, but he has very good late movement. Plus that slider that he dropped down and into Vargas, almost impossible to hit if you don't lay off it. Same pitch, missed the spot.
And a full count. So there's ball 4. First walk issued by Sox pitching. Torrey Hunter has come out to hit for Arcia.
Well, you get them out here. It would behoove the offense to score a run in the bottom of the 8th because the shadows are starting to creep across home plate. Right now, visibility is still okay. About 10 minutes from now, it's going to get a little tough.
Hunter, yesterday, I mentioned, started off that 3-run ninth with a single, stole a base, and scored. Out of play right side. Over there. He will. He got it. And that'll retire the side. To the bottom of the 8th. LaRoche, Garcia, and Alexei.
Defensive changes. Torrey Hunter stays in the game in right field. And Shane Robinson will switch from right to left.
So here's Adam. 1 for 2, a homer. His first homer in a Sox uniform, leading off the second inning into left center field.
You would think that for Thompson, this would be the last man that he's going to face. With Garcia and Ramirez, two dangerous right-handers coming up.
They're going to put a shift on with an 0-2 count. Plouffe moving over there on the first base side of second. Lays off the breaking pitch. Checks it up, and that's a fair ball. Mauer will make the easy play for 1 out. And here comes Paulie.
He's going to the right-hander, loosening in the pen. So Thompson faced 4 men, retired them all.
So Thompson will depart, and we'll be back.
On for the 3rd time. The ERA is up there, but with only 2 1/3 innings, it can rise rather dramatically. Started his career with the Braves, and then actually took a year off to reevaluate things. Has come back, maybe appreciating things a little more these days.
And here's off a seal. That fastball at 95. Boy, he's 33 years old, 6'3", 225 pounds. Out of Marietta, Georgia.
Garcia can't believe it, and he's got a point there.
0-2. They're going to set up out there again. Ball hit hard. Meanwhile, that'll bring up Alexei, who was 0 for 3, a grounder to second. Grounded into a 5-2 double play and struck out. Outfielder deep. Straight up, spread out. Santana got a gun. High throw. And the ball is knocked out of Mauer's glove.
He went up and got it. Tried to put the tag on and couldn't secure the baseball. So a break. Santana goes in the hole. First part of this play is good. He smothers the backhand. A high throw. And Mauer caught that one in the web of the glove. It goes as a base hit and a base stealing opportunity for Alexei.
So here's Connor. He's 2 for 3 with an RBI. Hunter takes ball 1. He has now 2 ropes for base hits today. He's one of the better fastball hitters on this team. A short, quick stroker is.
The outfield and center and right playing much deeper than normal for Connor. They can't let the ball get by him. If this ball's hitting the gap, it's going to be tough to stop Ramirez from scoring from first.
There's a big gap out there in left center. He might not score in that gap in right center, but in left center he will.
Pan around and show you the defense and the grip. Blaine Boyer.
Just a decent lead by Alexei. And there's a base hit. Connor on his way to second base. They're going to hold Alexei at third. So Ducks on the pond, 2 down. And Giovanni Soto coming up.
This is an off-speed breaking ball. Looked like a slider that didn't do a great deal. And Connor having a big day with his 3 hits. Dumps it into right field. No chance at all for Ramirez to score on that one as Hunter gets the ball back in. Gets it to Dozier. And that brings out Neil Allen. What he wants to do with J.B. Shuck.
Yeah, they called Giovanni, who was 2 for 3, a single, a homer, and a deep fly to center field. Giovanni has hit it right on the money 3 times today.
He has that.
So here's Shuck. How about a wild pitch? Throw in that box.
He did. But Herman was equal to the task.
Outfield straight up. Spread out a little bit. Just about equidistant. Alexi at third and Gillespie at second. Just caught the outside part of the outside edge to even the count at 1. Plouffe even with the bag and off the line at third. Mauer back about 3/4 at first and well off the line. Base hit. Thank you very much. They're going to wave Connor around. Here's the throw. They get him. But Alexei scores. We'll go to the 9th, leading 5-4.
Gordon Beckham checks in at third base. Tyler Flowers comes in behind the plate. And the closer, David Robertson, comes on for his first save and the Sox first win. He will face the bottom part of the order.
Scheduled hitters are Herman, Robinson, and Schaefer. Here's Herman, 1 for 3. That was an RBI triple, and he scored back in the second inning when the Twins, if you're just joining us, scored all 4 of their runs. And after that, Jeff Samardzija just absolutely shut him down. First pitch strike. To the count.
This is a good time to be a relief pitcher when you've got the shadows from the light standards going across between you and the hitter.
Ball and 2 strikes. The 27-year-old receiver. He gone.
Anything spinning is going to be close to impossible to pick up the spin. And David goes to the breaking ball, keeps it low, and a perfect pitch. And Herman misses it by plenty. So Shane Robinson, who made that excellent throw from left field to cut down Gillespie, steps in.
He's 1 for 3 as he can't get that one at 92. RBI single in the first. No, checked it in the second inning, then stole a base and scored. One and two. Just got a piece of it. So 22,317 on their feet, as here is Gordon Schaefer, 1 for 3.
Just keep pumping strikes because the visibility is tough.
Into the count.
You got one more of those, And it's the first save and the first win of the year.
They run it up.
Tried to get a little extra on that breaking ball that time and had it slip off the fingers. He just wants to bury one down and in like he did for the second strike.
He gone, and this 4-game losing streak is over. David Robertson comes on, strikes out the side to pick up